Okay, so what are classes of employment and why does that matter for career and professional development? Well, to start with, when we talk about classes of employment, most of us have heard of the idea of blue collar or white collar, and these are a couple of historical classifications that the general public would use to understand general, like I say, categories or classes of employment. But the reason it matters for professional development is so that you can adequately plan or you can understand what it takes to pursue or proceed in one of the careers or career paths that falls into one of these fields or categories. Now, today in time, that general dichotomy of white collar or blue collar job has changed a great deal. Okay, now there are many different categories, but I've gone through and broken down into various categories to help you get a better understanding of how classes of employment work, and then I'll talk a little bit about what it takes generally to pursue a career or in a field, in a job that falls into one of these individual classes. So to start with, there's manual labor, right? And that's people who work physically with their hands for a job or function, okay? It doesn't tend to be highly skilled. It's not saying there aren't specific skills there, but it's not highly skilled in terms of requiring a lot of technical knowledge in order to do that type of performance. Most of the performance is related to your physical ability to put effort in a given project or task, okay? Now, these types of fields are generally based upon experience, not any level of formal education in that way. Now, like I say, it oftentimes does require a great deal of knowledge and skill to undertake that laborious activity, but again, it's not the type of skills you would acquire through formal education generally. Okay, then you have low-skilled non-manual labor, which are things like basically just a greeter walking somebody in the door, or someone who answers the phone and takes a message, that type of thing. It's very low skill. It's an individual or personal task or function that you carry on. But again, it doesn't generally require a degree of formal education to undertake that. Okay, then you have skilled labor or technicians, and these are fields that oftentimes you'll acquire this knowledge through technical education or programs of study. It can be things like electrician, HVAC, welding, plumbing, things like that require a high degree of skill in your given area, but it can be a mixture of manual and non-manual labor involved in the process, okay? And so there's a wide berth here of different types of skilled labor that you call it, and sometimes you don't actually see the labor, but again, it's non-physical in some situations, like certain types of computer employees who work on computer systems or things like that. They may have a technical or specific function that's not specifically tied to higher education or bachelor's degree, master's degree, something like that in the field. Okay. Then you have manager of labor. So the idea that any manual labor, low skill labor, skilled labor may eventually work their way up. They have the soft skills, the communication skills, the ability to think outside the box, and they become manager of other individuals who carry on that type of function or skill set, right? They're generally individuals who did that function themselves for some period of time, oftentimes a long period of time. And this is an interesting area because you'll get lots of variation in the types of individuals that you'll find in these roles. Sometimes you'll find someone who did a specific job or task for a very long time. They're very knowledgeable, and they ascend to manager to oversee others who undertake that task or responsibility. Other times it'll be someone with less skill or experience in that area, but they do have a level of formal education, particularly in management or something like that, and they come in just for their ability to, yes, they can learn the individual things that the workers do who they manage, but their greatest quality is their ability to think outside the box and to ask the questions, why do we do these things? Is there a different way we should do these things? That type of thing. Okay, so manager of labor. Now, then you have your professional service provider, and as we've talked about in other videos, what is business and why is that valuable for career development? Well, the idea that there are so many functions within the delivery of value and the receipt back of value, right? Besides just the individual value provider, you have accountants, marketers, salespeople, finance people, that type of thing, who do a specific job, task, or function within the organization. These are your professional service providers, as well as the individuals who provide the specific value to the customer, client, or end user. That might be an accountant, it might be a lawyer, it might be a doctor, it might be anyone who's delivering the specific value set that the customer, client, or end user wants from the business, okay? And then you have professional managers. And once again, these are individuals who work professionally in a specific area, a marketer or an accountant or a finance person, and or operations, and they ascend it up to oversee or manage the other individuals who do that specific skill set or function. Now, oftentimes at the lower level of manager of professional service provider, it's always going to be someone who practiced in the area of the individual they're managing. But as you move up the chain of authority, the requirements for the professional manager to have worked in or have a detailed knowledge or understanding about the specific things that the service providers do or how they do their job diminishes, right? It's more important that you have a general understanding of the business and the specific skill set necessary to lead at that level of the organization. Generally, for CEO, was generally a CFO before becoming a CEO, and CFOs are generally accountants, more so than even individuals from the finance department, right? It's just that skill set tends to transcend all the way to the top of the organization, right? And then you have entrepreneurs, of course, individuals who start a business themselves. They may hire other people, but their main function is to, from the very beginning, guide the path of the organization. So they may play any of these roles within, or all of these roles within the organization. Okay, so the reason I tell you this is so you have a good understanding of that dichotomy. So when you're searching for jobs, you're learning about different career paths and things like that, it'll help you in understanding why a certain job or career path requires a certain level of education or formal education versus not, and why some jobs require higher specific skill set than others within a given field, path, or organization.